George Adathil Dr. Francis Alapat, Principal Dr. K.T. Matthew, other respected personalities on the dais, dignitaries in the audience, parents, and dear students. I am extremely happy to be with you this morning for the College Day celebrations. And I am grateful for the college authorities who are extending to me this very great and rare honor. I have visited many engineering colleges, but I think this is the first time I have been overwhelmingly impressed by the appearance of this college. It's beautiful. Its picturesque and sylvan surroundings, and most of all, seeing the decorum, dignity, and discipline of the students. While coming to this college, I was thinking in my mind what I should speak to the students this morning. I thought the best way of communicating to them would be to share my experience in handling two very important infrastructure projects of this country, which I had the very rare privilege of handling. These two projects are the Konkan Railway and the Delhi Metro project. Why I have chosen to speak to you about these two projects? Because you will see that while narrating how these projects have been implemented, there's a very great lesson to be learned, particularly for the students, engineering students, who are to face similar challenges in life later on. Konkan Railway, as you may be all aware, is a 760-kilometer long broad gauge line from Bombay to Mangalore along the west coast of the country, known as the Konkan coast. The Konkan coast is a very narrow strip of land hedged between the Western Ghats or the Sahyadri Hills on the east and the majestic Arabian Sea on the west. And there are very many rivers, tributaries, then channels cutting across this narrow strip of land. The result, this is one area which provides the most difficult terrain conditions for any railway construction. Because of this only, although the railway line came to Mangalore long back, more than 100 years, almost 100 years back, and the railway line started from Bombay. Bombay to Mangalore could not be bridged for a very long time because of the difficult terrain conditions. This will also be evident to you when I mention to construct the Konkan Railway as many as 93 tunnels for a total length of 82.5 kilometers had to be constructed. The longest tunnel on this line is 6.5 kilometers, and there are 9 tunnels more than 3 kilometers in length. And the most difficult job was constructing these tunnels through the typical Konkan terrain. The hill conditions, the soil conditions were most hostile for any tunnel construction. The typical lateritic formations, which are very hard on the surface. As you go down, it becomes very soft, and when the tunnel is driven, we come across even places where the soil comes out like almost toothpaste. You can imagine the difficult soil conditions. And then there are 149 bridges to be constructed for this railway line. The longest bridge being more than 2 kilometers in length over the river Saravati near Karwar. Because of the high undulating type of a terrain, the highest viaduct on this line, which is very near to Ratnagiri, has got piers as tall as Qutub Minar, almost 70 meters high. From this you can imagine the difficult nature of the terrain. As I mentioned, this is the most hostile terrain conditions ever encountered in the history of railway construction in this country. With all this, it was possible to complete the Konkan railway construction in exactly 7 years. Apart from the technical challenges involved in constructing Konkan railway, the biggest challenge was raising the money, the funds for the project. Usually, all new railway line constructions in our country are fully funded by the government through the annual railway budget. This was the first time the government decided that Konkan Railway will be constructed in an entirely different funding pattern. And the government agreed to give only 1/3 of the cost of the project. 2/3 of the cost of the project had to be raised from the market by the Konkan Railway Corporation. That was a very, very big challenge. In spite of that, the project was completed, as I told you, in 7 years' time. The story of Delhi Metro is totally different. For your information, Delhi Metro is not the first metro in our country. That distinction goes to Calcutta, where a 17-kilometer long metro line was started in early 70s, but completed only in 1996. I had the privilege of being part of the planning process of the Calcutta Metro in the early stages. But the Calcutta Metro experience was not at all a very pleasant one, either for the city of Calcutta or for the country as a whole, because this 17-kilometer long metro line took 22 years for completion, and the cost went up by 14 times. More than that, during the construction of the Calcutta Metro, the city of Calcutta was subjected to a lot of inconvenience, disruptions and dislocations. The central avenue of Calcutta was just cut open and kept for years just like that, causing a lot of inconvenience to the public of Calcutta. Therefore, when Calcutta Metro was planned, designed, implemented and now being operated by the Indian Railways as a departmental project. Therefore, when Delhi Metro was thought of, it was decided to have an entirely different methodology pattern of implementing the project, for which the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, a new company, was formed with equal share participation from Government of India and Government of Delhi. It is not executed as a railway project by the Railway Ministry. For Delhi, in fact, a number of studies were carried out to evolve what is the best metro system that the capital city of the country needs. Almost 30 studies were done. Ultimately, the last study conducted by Messrs. Rights, that is a consultancy organization under the Ministry of Railways, they recommended the first phase of Delhi Metro covering about 55 kilometers to be done in about 10 years' time. Therefore, the first phase of the Delhi Metro was handed over to the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation for implementation with the mandate that the first phase will be completed in 10 years' time. That is when I took over as the Managing Director of the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, the first Managing Director. The very first decision we took was that the capital city of Delhi, with a population, then the population was almost 14 million. Today the population is nearing 18 million, Delhi. We felt that such a big sprawling city, that to the capital of the country, cannot wait for 10 years for the metro to be experienced. We should finish it fast. So we decided that we would complete the first phase of the metro in 7 years' time. This is a decision of the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. It was not a decision thrust on us by the government or by the public. And I am happy to inform you that as against the 10 years set by the government for completing the first phase, we were able to complete it 2 years and 9 months ahead of schedule. And that too, within the estimated cost. Seeing the success of the first phase of the metro, the government sanctioned immediately the second phase of Delhi Metro, covering 224 kilometers at a cost of 24,000. The first phase, the cost was 10,500 crores. The second phase, the cost was 24,000 crores. And we set a target of completing the second phase in a period of 5 years. But at that time, the government decided to stage the Commonwealth Games. And by that decision, the government also wanted that the second phase of Delhi Metro should be completed before the Commonwealth Games start, which gave us only exactly 4.5 years to complete the second phase. Dear students, I am very happy to inform you that we were able to complete the second phase of Delhi Metro in exactly 4.5 years, which at that time was a world record. No country in the world, no city anywhere in the world had completed such a long length of 124 kilometers of metro line in 4.5 years. You'll be surprised to know the last line of phase 2 was commissioned on the very morning on which the Commonwealth Games were inaugurated. Such very tight time schedule we were able to complete on time. Now the third phase of Delhi Metro is going on, which will be another 135 kilometers at a cost of 40,000 crores. But by this time, I left Delhi Metro. Now consider these two projects, the Konkan Railway and Delhi Metro. Before I go further, I want to place before you, that I'll come to that later on. These two projects are government projects. Both were executed by government agencies, the Konkan Railway Corporation Limited